You know, I've said some things on this show that when people hear them, they think I am a certified lunatic. Conspiracies that I come up with that I feel are happening in the WWE, and I get looked at like I'm a certified lunatic. One of the things that I mentioned was Daniel Bryan and the fact that Daniel Bryan was held out for 4 years. Still to this day, nobody will ever convince me otherwise. I truly believe Daniel Bryan was never as injured as WWE made everybody believe. And I truly believe Daniel Bryan was kept out because of Roman Reigns. There's another conspiracy that I feel is actually going on in the WWE as we speak. And that is Vince McMahon internally trying to kill his own company. Internally trying to sabotage his own company. When we think of Vince McMahon, defiant, reckless, out of touch, and senile. Those are the words that describe Vince McMahon perfectly. I mentioned on SmackDown Live, if you guys want to go watch the SmackDown Live review, the first 20 minutes of that, people are saying that it's one of my best rants of all time. I stated in that very video, we are living in a day and age in 2019, watching the current WWE product, and one thing after this week's television is absolutely 100% clear. Vince McMahon needs to go. More so, Vince McMahon is no longer needed to write WWE television. Vince needs to go. I know I've mentioned this, and I've mentioned this several times, and it rings true more now than ever before. Vince McMahon is out to sabotage his own company, even more so, his own family. Why is this? Why do I think this? Because I truly believe Vince can't accept the fact that the majority of what he has done as far as a TV product goes has been a complete and utter failure. Everything that Vince has tried for the last 6 years, and I'm giving that the time frame. I'm giving them this span of time since Monday Night Raw went to 3 hours on Monday night. In this 6 or 7 years, everything that Vince McMahon has done has been a complete and utter failure. Everything. Ratings are at an all-time low. Quality of the TV is miserable. I don't want to hear how many people are claiming that they're making the most money that they've ever done, or the most money in one quarter, or the most money in one single calendar year. This does not concern me, nor should it concern you. We don't care about financials. We just want a good television program. Vince could make all the money he wants. Vince can make all the money he wants, even if, get this, if he puts on a great television product. He may even have the opportunity to make more money. Because more people will come, more people will watch, more people will become invested again. Wow, what a thought. But the fact that the program right now is absolutely miserable, nobody seems to care. The only thing that matters to people is, oh, they're making all this types of money. Raw feels dated, with some of the worst professional wrestling commentary to date. Not only does the commentary feel dated, they have the same formulaic format every single week. Raw is constantly being rewritten hours into the program because of Vince McMahon's hands-on mentality, even while paying a writing staff of over 30 individuals to be on his creative team. Pay-per-view cards not finalized, days leading into these major shows. WrestleMania, how many days away till WrestleMania? About 46, 47 days? How do you feel knowing that WrestleMania 35 does not have a single match outside of the two that have been announced on Monday Night Raw? You think this is the proper way to conduct a wrestling company? or a proper way to conduct business, WrestleMania should have been booked. I mentioned on Tuesday, ever since the Survivor Series was over. I'm going to go even before that. Coming out of SummerSlam, you should already have thoughts in your mind. Those thoughts lead to pencil meeting paper. WrestleMania should have at least been a fucking idea bubble in everybody's mind already coming out of SummerSlam. Here we are coming out of the Elimination Chamber, going into March, Fastlane, and we don't even have an opponent lined up for Daniel Bryan. Really? Finn Balor doesn't have an opponent for the Intercontinental Championship. Asuka doesn't have an opponent for the SmackDown Live Women's Championships. The tag team titles on both shows? Fuck them. They don't mean anything to anybody anyway. Yet this goes unnoticed and untouched by everybody in the community, and I'm looked at as a fucking lunatic. Absolutely terrible. Stop and start pushes for superstars who's babyface one week and heel the next, only to go back to being babyface all over again. Now, but this is quality of television that you enjoy, right? I'm sure you love also having your intelligence insulted. This same man lying to his audience. Monday Night Raw, WWE in general, lying to their audience live on TV, promising real change and a new leadership on the show, with reports coming out that Vince undermined everyone to prove that what he said back in December was complete and utter bullshit. The same audience that tune in every week, which is withering away by the week. You don't listen to what they want. And I stress the word they, what we want. It's always about what Vince wants. It's always about what Vince thinks is best. What you want and what you think is not best for business anymore. And more times than not, is actually the wrong creative decision. NXT has earned the respect of fans who know what the product is and what the product represents. Every single year, NXT has been a driving force of what the future should be in WWE. If you watch NXT, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, you would understand why everyone is so excited about the future of WWE. Everyone except Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon and his circus of yes men do not realize what Triple H and his team, a team, mind you, comprised of William Regal, Matt Bloom, Triple H himself, Shawn Michaels, Sarah, Amato for the women, and what they've been doing. Vince doesn't know anything of what Triple H's team have been doing. Vince and his circus are so stuck in their miserable ways that if they didn't invent it, or didn't come up with the idea or concept, if it isn't what or who they want, or what or who they deem important, they cast it off seemingly as nothing. If one could be in Vince McMahon's shoes, imagine being in Vince McMahon's shoes, how would you react to what is going on in NXT? How could you not be excited for what's going on down at Full Sail University? It's like Super Mario collecting fucking coins on his way to battle Bowser. Every 100 coins that Mario collects is an additional life added to the overall game. So pretty much you're protecting yourself from utter failure. So that's the way I look at it. It's like Mario collecting coins. Every 100 coins is an additional life that you did not have before. Every indie talent that you sign, every major name on the independent circuit who has dreamed of coming to the WWE is an additional piece to the overall future of the WWE. Everybody that you sign on the indies is 100 coins towards an extra life in WWE. It's the best analogy for me to come up with in this certain situation. I don't understand the logic that Vince just doesn't appreciate what's going on. Vince doesn't look at it the way that you and I do. He doesn't look at it that way. No matter the defending of Vince McMahon that goes on social media, on YouTube's comment sections, on my comment sections. No matter the defending of Vince McMahon that goes on, it is all political. It is all political. Triple H himself defends Vince McMahon in a public nature, stating that Vince does pay attention. Meanwhile, weeks before that, it's being reported that Vince doesn't watch NXT. They have to pretend that Vince knows and appreciate all that's going on. If not, it would be a huge red flag to investors, stockholders, and it would create a morale backstage that will only add to the miserable morale that I'm sure is festering backstage in WWE right now. Vince looks at NXT in disgust. This is true. I don't give a fuck who you are, what you are to the community, if you know people in WWE. I don't give a shit. This is what I see with my own eyes. This is what I take from what we watch, and I come to this conclusion. And I'm sure most of you think the same way that I do as well. Vince looks at NXT in disgust because Triple H, his son-in-law, is doing something that he cannot anymore. Vince looks at NXT as unimportant because every single takeover completely outshines every main roster offering by showing everyone exactly how stories, feuds, and layout of matches should be. Vince's own talent on the main roster, every single one of them wishes, or at least those who are the most vocal, wishes that they would be back down in NXT, wishing that they could be a part of TakeOver instead of festering away, withering away on Monday Night Raw. Vince looks at NXT in disgust because the model that NXT shows is easier to digest for the viewer, always keeping them wanting more while Vince drains the fucking life out of you while you're tapping out quicker than Ruby Riott tapped out to Ronda Rousey at the Elimination Chamber. Vince doesn't care. Vince's reason for bringing up NXT's heart and soul, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Ricochet, and Alistair Black. Vince's reason for bringing these four guys up was more damaging than anyone truly realizes. I'm not sure anyone in the community realizes how bad this was on Monday night, only to put a Band-Aid on it on Tuesday with a more handful of horrific stories that came out in the days to follow both Raw and SmackDown about why all of this was done in Lafayette, Louisiana. It showed how no one on the main roster truly cares about the core WWE product. It shows that they not only don't care, they don't even bother watching NXT. It shows that NXT is truly a separate entity, as it might as well at this point be all elite wrestling. And the days of that being the mentality need to come to an end for more reasons than just what we seen on Monday night with shit not making sense. It shows you the jealousy. It shows you the jealousy of one team that has been doing wrong for as long as I can remember towards another team that has captured the hearts of fans, and Vince and his team cannot accept that reality. It goes to show you also the vast differences in operation from NXT to Raw and SmackDown, and how change is so desperately needed, more so now than ever before. To take Johnny Gargano, who was the North American champion as of Monday, lost it to the Velveteen Dream on Wednesday, to pair him with Tommaso Ciampa, the NXT champion, someone who he has been feuding with for the better portion of 2.5 years, and pretend that what we've seen for the last 2.5 years didn't even exist, is not only stupid, not only does it insult all of our intelligence as fans, but it's damaging to both men, and it gives off the mentality of everyone who has nurtured these two as their own children, did nothing more than waste their time because Vince McMahon doesn't watch or care about NXT. To take Tommaso Ciampa, who arguably has been the greatest heel in the last decade, he lives that character on social media through and through. To make him babyface on Monday and Tuesday night was nothing short of pathetic. Ricochet, debuting in a spur-of-the-moment run to help assist Finn Balor, was an absolute waste of his character talent, and it was simple-minded in execution because all that Vince's team knew of Ricochet is that, oh, he can flip, he can dive, and he can look pretty. Not knowing that what you have in him is worth forever more than a match with Bobby fucking Lashley in a mid-card match on Monday Night Raw. The guy just wrestled the match of his career in January against Gargano, and a month later is on Raw in the ring with Bobby Trashley. That's like trading your Barry Bonds rookie card for a Mookie Wilson rookie card. You signed him and everyone else to be a beacon of what the future should be. Not to have them feel like everyone else that you seemingly ruined on this show. Ricochet felt as the same as Mojo Rawley on this show. And no, I'm not exaggerating. They felt ordinary. Alistair Black, simply put, his debut was unprepared and reeked. This is the one that made everything just reek of last minute. Because until Elias has had everyone interrupt him, his character will never truly die the way that it needs to die right now. And this is coming from someone who was a big Elias fan. I couldn't give a single fuck about Elias at this point. Camera angles that make Black's intro and entrance special were off. Michael Cole's dated commentary went terrible with his entire presentation, calling him moody and intense. I'm not listening to some fucking garbage typo negative. Come on now. If I want moody, just look at me in the fucking morning before I had my cup of coffee. Shut the fuck up. Let Alistair Black present his character the way it's intended. This entire week exposed the wound that WWE has had for quite some time. And that wound is now opened more than ever before. WWE is absolutely in desperation mode because of many factors. They repeat the same mistake over and over and over again by taking talent to a point where it's too much and they don't have enough time for everyone, and it's too much talent for creative to handle. Their constant neglect and miscues with talent are to a point where they are deemed unimportant, or to a point where they're all asking for their release because they're not being used and all they want to do is fucking wrestle. Always favoring their guys over everyone else. The lack of attention to the tag team division, the women's division, the lack of a main event scene on Monday Night Raw, all because of one man's senile vision. All that neglect has finally caught up to them. Now they seek refuge in something Triple H has built, put his heart into, and instead of embrace it and use it the way it should be used, they opt to kill it. Because no one can get one over on good old Vinnie Mac. The All Elite Wrestling effect is also a thing, and it needs to be embraced, and it needs to be in this discussion as well. If AEW wasn't around, waiting for WWE's next move, these changes that we as a fan base have been asking for would not be happening. Tag team wrestling wouldn't be being focused on Monday Night Raw. The fact that you pulled 4 of the best talents that this company has ever seen randomly with zero care of what stories they are currently telling down in NXT also wouldn't have happened this week either. I wanted to come on here and give you guys a completely written from the heart statement that was different than what you heard on Tuesday night. I can't let this go. I can't let this entire situation just fester and sit, everyone needs to know how bad this is. And the funny thing is, I mentioned this on Tuesday, it's the ignorance of the fans that is just completely mind-blowing. I don't want to repeat myself, but it's absolutely 100% factual. Them debuting these four guys in Lafayette, Louisiana was more damaging than anything I've ever seen before on Monday Night Raw. Because there's so much hype, there's so much promise in the future of this company with these four guys. And they decided to debut them all in Lafayette, Louisiana. Meanwhile, if you look at WWE's calendar, they have dates in Chicago and Philadelphia, and I believe Pittsburgh coming up. Any one of those cities would have been 100% ready for these debuts and would have given them the reaction and the respect that they truly deserve. I don't really know what else to say. It's a timing thing. The fact that Vince McMahon chose that night out of all the nights coming up to debut that NXT talent goes to show you that this company is forever lost and they will not be on the track to getting better unless Vince McMahon is gone. That is the one thing that I think all of us in the community can honestly sit down and agree on. This company is better off when Vince McMahon is gone. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And man, does CM Punk drive home a point. 7 years to the day. Unfucking believable. What I'm about to read to you not only backs up everything that I just stated from the heart, but it's going to make you, as a fan of this product, downright nauseous. It's going to make you sick. Vince McMahon reportedly wanted to prove Triple H wrong with all four NXT call-ups. Brad Shepard reported on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast that Vince McMahon has an interesting strategy when it comes to the new NXT superstars. What was the strategy with the other six that you brought up? You didn't even get that across on television. You didn't make them a focal point of the show. What was the strategy with that? Oh, that's right, there was none. He wants to throw them, says Brad Shepard. Vince wants to throw them in the deep end of the pool to see if they can swim. This is due to his longing to prove his son-in-law wrong. I've never seen such a reckless act in my entire life from a CEO of any company in this sport. That is absolutely fucking sickening to even think of. Well, let's take these four guys and throw them on Monday Night Raw with absolutely nothing so that when they fail and get no crowd reaction, he can go back to his circus, his yes men, and then sit his son-in-law down and say, I'm always right and you're always wrong. Never challenge me ever again. Don't try to outdo me ever again. Never sit there and think that you can do my job better than me. Do you see this? Do you hear this? Instead of taking these guys and building your fucking show that is absolutely downright the worst wrestling show on the history of this planet. Instead of taking these four guys who could take Monday Night Raw back to prominence, you want to have them go out there, fail, just for the satisfaction so that you can tell your son-in-law, I'm right and he's wrong. Brad Shepard says, and I quote, I was told that there is a weird dynamic at play here where Triple H hypes the guy and Vince tries to prove him wrong. In this case, Vince wanted to put the NXT call-ups in a hole and test them to see if they could climb out of it. So this is the metaphorical Vince throwing them in the deep end of the swimming pool and seeing if they'll drown or come up for air. End quote. Hopefully the fact that Ciampa, Gargano, Black, and Ricochet all made appearances on SmackDown the next night and they somehow redeemed themselves was a sign that Vince McMahon was proved wrong. It's not hard to imagine that there is a competitive nature to Vince McMahon with Triple H, but this is a destructive manner. This is not competition. This is Vince McMahon being destructive just for the sake of, hey, I'm right and he's wrong. That's not going to make WWE better in the future. That's only going to drive people away more and wait for AEW even more so. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Instead of being a CEO who's by the way paying these talents, he signs everybody's paycheck. Instead of being a CEO who wants to take these talents and see them succeed, he'd rather them fucking fail. For whatever reason, he would rather see them fail. Now, Triple H gets a lot of respect from the internet wrestling community for his job with NXT and his job with 205 Live and his job with NXT UK and the team that he assembled down at Full Sail to make NXT truly the future of the business, of the company. But there obviously are people who do not like Triple H, and most of that comes from Vince McMahon's side because everybody on Vince McMahon's side is hated by both Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Now, this heat on Triple H from Vince's side actually grew even larger on Monday Night Raw because of Degeneration X and the Hall of Fame announcement. Now, it might have been the smartest way for them to go about inducting Chyna into the Hall of Fame, because I don't see that happening on its own, ever. But this is a way to get Chyna in. But still, people in the company, people in the community as well, which I don't understand why, some people in the company are apparently not too happy about this decision. Brad Shepard also mentioned this on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast, that his source in the WWE relayed to him some thoughts about how some in the company not only view Triple H, but also Degeneration X's Hall of Fame induction and how the game handled the recent NXT call-ups. He says, and I quote, "They went on to criticize Triple H specifically, who's not as popular as he thinks he is in WWE headquarters, by the way. They essentially said, you know, he decides to put him and his friends in the Hall of Fame, and then he goes out on Raw and introduces the NXT call-ups in advance because that'll get them over." What's the problem with that? What's the problem with him going out there telling everybody and hyping everybody about what he built? Why would anybody have a problem with that? Of course he has to hype them up, because he's fucking fixing the mess that you fucking idiots caused earlier in the day. He's got to let everybody know that these guys are coming. What, are you just going to send them out there? And who gives a fuck about the Hall of Fame? Who? Are you going to watch the Hall of Fame? I know I'm not. I know I'll be watching New Japan. I don't give a fuck about DX or Chyna going into the Hall of Fame, which people are still complaining about. You either take this or nothing. Shut the fuck up already. She's not going in by herself. You all understand that this is a political thing. If they don't like you, you're not going in. Everybody mentions this is nothing more than the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club. What this would do to Stephanie McMahon if Chyna was inducted on her own. This is a way to shut everybody up. And by the way, this is all I'm going to say on this. I don't give a fuck what her accolades were after Degeneration X. Without her being a part of Degeneration X, none of that other shit would even come close to happening. So shut your fucking mouths. So I don't understand why Triple H is getting heat for announcing and trying to correct the fuck up from Vince McMahon and Monday Night Raw. You know, Triple H is looked at as a father figure to these guys. He's molded them into what they are and what we love today. Why wouldn't he have a hand in what is going on here? Let him do all the hyping that he needs to do. You know what? Every single fucking one of those guys is worth everything that Triple H says. Why Vince McMahon called up the recent NXT superstars, on top of what we already went over about him wanting to throw them into the deep end of the pool and watch them fail, just so that he can get one up on Triple H. This demented fucking mentality. Dave Meltzer actually explained this during the Wrestling Observer Live, that Vince McMahon is under the impression that WWE doesn't have any superstars. Whose fault is that? Therefore, they need to make more. Well, you take and take and take. You get them presented to you, and then you don't use them. And if you do use them, they're the flavor of the week. One week you're using them, and then the next week they're fucking missing for 6 months. No wonder you don't have any fucking superstars. No wonder you don't have any fucking superstars. You spent the last 4 fucking years feeding everybody to Roman Reigns. Where did that get you? Meltzer explains this, and I quote, Vince is reacting to the ratings. I think there is a reaction to All Elite Wrestling. No shit. Might not be the primary reason, but you know that's a fucking reason. McMahon could be starting to see the writing on the wall that they don't have any star power that they used to. Therefore, a change needed to be made, and was a big one this time around. Meltzer goes on to say, and I quote, he felt that the reason the ratings are down is because the product is stale. Now you're realizing this? You just came out in December and realized that the product wasn't really living up to everybody's expectations. Finally! When a guy like me can tweet the Vince McMahon Twitter account, who I'm sure doesn't monitor his own Twitter, and get close to 6,000 fucking likes, you know there's a fucking issue. Now you realize that the product is fucking stale. You came out and promised change. Then it took you forever to actually do and change the product. And then you finally changed the product by bringing up 4 guys from NXT, and you made them feel nothing like superstars. Absolutely ridiculous. Change was needed to be made. Product is stale. You know the stars are stale, and it's like, we don't have any superstars, and these guys that we have aren't going to be superstars, so we need to make new superstars, so we got to get the guys we haven't ruined yet. End quote. Who the fuck are they to say we don't have any superstars and that we aren't going to have superstars with the guys that we have and we need to make new ones? Really? Guys like Rusev are fucking hungry for an opportunity. Shinsuke Nakamura, ruined by WWE. Kevin Owens, for the most part, ruined by WWE. Sami Zayn, ruined by WWE. Tyler Breeze, never given an opportunity by WWE. The guy may be one of the best wrestlers that company has employed. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Everybody that they have has been deemed unworthy, unimportant, and haven't been given an opportunity. Why? Who the fuck are you to say that you don't have superstars when you haven't even given an opportunity to 98% of them? This is their fault. I am glad that whatever was exposed on Monday night was exposed on Monday night. Because it shows you the mentality of this senile old man, and it shows you that the desperation of WWE is at an all-time fucking high. Triple H did not know about the NXT call-ups because of a miscommunication issue with Vince McMahon. Meltzer went on to say this on Wrestling Observer Live. Now, the reason for the latest batch of NXT call-ups to the main roster, we went over. Apparently, the catalyst for that, one of the catalysts for that, was The Undertaker's involvement with StarCast 2 Double or Nothing Weekend. Meltzer continued speaking on Wrestling Observer Live, where he explained why Vince McMahon made these decisions, and apparently there was a communication issue with Triple H in the process. Vince is reacting to the ratings. I think there's a reaction to AEW. And basically, he wanted to get wrestlers on Raw now, so he's not that up on NXT. But it was essentially, who are your best four guys? These are the best four guys, I guess. Let's take them. Triple H did not know. There was a communication issue here. So he just wanted those four guys. I'm not sure whether he picked them or whether he was told that these are the guys. I'm sure Vince was told these were the guys. Bring them into Raw. We're going to feature them into the show. And then Vince said, think outside the box and give me a Monday Night Raw, which was still being written going into the second hour. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And we still don't know if they're going to be featured on weekly television because NXT taped the entire month of March, which is obviously very heavy with NXT TakeOver New York storyline implications. Are they going to be working all three brands? I don't understand it. And by some of the things that I heard, it looks like some of the guys that we got coming up to the main roster are going to be holding NXT gold as well. All four of these guys were caught off guard about the call-ups. Not only these four guys, but everyone on the roster already, including the last batch of call-ups, were caught off guard. Now, all four of these guys, Ciampa, Gargano, Black, Ricochet, sources have been claiming that certain superstars who received main roster call-ups from NXT were blindsided by the news of these four NXT superstars call-ups as well. However, the worry isn't limited to just the recent crop of call-ups, because some existing mid-card superstars are also concerned. Some expressed worry that they will be passed up and have someone coming in for their spot. You don't have anybody to blame but Vince McMahon. All of those worried who are on the roster right now, all of those worried who are in the mid-card, you have nobody to blame but Vince McMahon himself. This is a product of calling up too much talent, signing too much talent to even work with on the main roster. All of these are factors into why some guys are never, ever going to get the opportunity to be on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. Plus, you mix that with the desperation of Monday Night Raw and how bad the shows are, and them wanting to get some interest back into the product and get a spike in the ratings. All of this just materializes, and someone is going to be hurt in the aftermath of all of it. The people who are being hurt in the aftermath of all of it are their mid-card guys, which have not been given an opportunity to even do anything to prove themselves to Vince McMahon. This is why people end up asking for their release, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to wrestle. They're in this business not only for the money, but they're in this business to make a name for themselves and create a legacy and a career that they could look back on and be happy about. WWE devalues all of that and is leaving these guys hungry to want to do that somewhere else, because you won't be giving them the opportunity to do that. So when Vince McMahon wants to complain, I don't want to give off the environment of people wanting to leave the WWE. I only want people to come on into the WWE and realize that this is a happy place to work. Well, you're not making anybody happy by the actions that you're showcasing to everyone. Why do you think people are asking for their release and wanting to go work for Cody? Some of the superstars who were most surprised consisted of the NXT superstars who just received their debut in January and have not even been used consistently. Needless to say, this was a decision that was made without a lot of preparation on WWE's behalf, and it left everyone this week just confused. Absolutely confused and surprised. WWE's short-term plan for recent call-ups. Meltzer, on Wrestling Observer Live, stated that WWE's plan is to continue using Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Alistair Black, and Ricochet on Raw and SmackDown, but they're also not leaving NXT just yet either. Says, and I quote, so these guys are going to be working Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, at least for now, and being put over like crazy on all three brands. End quote. NXT is going to record a new block of TV shows, which happened last night. And their TakeOver New York event is already laid out. No spoilers here, folks. No spoilers. One of the top matches on that show, now this is not fucking rocket science. I think everybody watching NXT knows what the top program is. The top program on NXT TakeOver New York for the NXT title is going to be Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa. There's no other way around it. For the last 2.5 years, this is what has been building. This could be changed, or it could still go on as planned for one last huge match for both of these guys before they make their full-time debut on the main roster. So, there is no short-term plan. There's no short-term plan. They're merely using these guys because they need to garner some interest from the audience. And they need to make the road to WrestleMania somewhat exciting because of their own shortcomings. They failed to produce quality content. They failed to produce engaging characters or characters that we care about. They failed to produce anything for WrestleMania right now, so they're banking on these 4 guys to generate interest going into the bigger markets. It's not rocket science, people. The desperation of Vince McMahon, the laziness of Vince McMahon and his team is showing more and more and more by every report that I read. One of the things that really bothered the shit out of me is why WWE turned Tommaso Ciampa babyface with a main roster call-up. Meltzer reacted to this booking decision on Wrestling Observer Live, where he provided some insight as to why WWE made the decision to turn Ciampa babyface when he made his main roster jump. And I quote, "The solution is that you keep the characters consistent, whatever that is. There is no reason for Gargano and Ciampa to be a tag team. Why? I mean, because they were a tag team in NXT? Is that the reason why? So bring them up as singles and bring Ciampa up as a heel. He's a good heel. There was no reason for it. They did this because they don't give a shit. That's the reason they did it. Because they don't give a shit. It also goes to show you why I said what I said, and I'm exactly right in what I said. Vince and his clowns don't watch NXT, nor do they care. Ciampa's a fucking heel. He should remain a heel on the main roster. They're following the Bobby Roode road with Tommaso Ciampa. Bobby Roode was absolutely fantastic as a heel in NXT. What did they do? They turned him into a babyface because his theme music was too over with the audience. That is the lamest fucking excuse I have ever seen in my entire life. And now they're doing it with Ciampa for absolutely no reason. The only reason I can think of is, well, aren't these guys best friends? Weren't they a tag team before? Yeah, we'll just team them back up together. No recollection that one is the North American champion and the other is the NXT champion, and they've been feuding for 2.5 years. No recollection of Ciampa spitting on Gargano's wedding ring and throwing it into the fucking crowd. Nothing. And I'm supposed to sit here, bend over, and accept WWE's shortcomings, right? Bryan Alvarez noted that Vince McMahon is the one who doesn't care about keeping the characters consistent, which is a big problem with everything. NXT tried their best to book their next set of television tapings to coincide with the recent NXT call-ups. If you guys want to go find the spoilers, you could go find it on social media or on YouTube. Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp have given you the breakdown of all those spoilers. You could go to Fightful's YouTube channel. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. The mentality that NXT is not a part of WWE needs to be extinct. It needs to go away. That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. You do realize that most of the people who are subscribed to the WWE network are there for NXT. My audience anyway. Everybody that watches me, they couldn't give a shit about the WWE network. Honestly, the reason why I'm signed up for the WWE network is because of NXT. And I know I could get NXT somewhere else. But getting NXT and then the pay-per-views every month, I mean, I basically need it. It's the easiest way for me to consume everything I need to consume to give to you guys. But the consistency that is not there is absolutely nauseating. How are you going to have Ciampa do everything he's done in the last 2.5 years here for the storyline with Johnny Gargano, only to be called up to Raw, team with the guy he's been feuding with over the NXT title, and make believe that they're buddy-buddy. You know how stupid that looks? And listen, I know it pisses you off just like it does me. Wait till you hear what they might have planned for Johnny and Ciampa at Fastlane. Johnny Gargano, coincidentally enough, is the next story. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa could have a huge Fastlane match. Meltzer, on Wrestling Observer Live, noted that it could be the Revival and DIY at Fastlane for the Raw Tag Team titles. Those two teams know each other well. Obviously, they were a part of the greatest tag team title match I've ever seen. And being that Johnny is from Cleveland, and Fastlane is in Cleveland, and the fact that they tore the house down in NXT, it looks like the Raw Tag Team title match could indeed be DIY and the Revival at Fastlane. Interestingly enough, like I said, Johnny's hometown is in Cleveland. If this match happens, just the fact that Johnny is in his hometown in a title match is bound to sell tickets. He is absolutely loved there after coming from the Cleveland-based AIW promotion that is still right now with a very strong fan base to this day. So if DIY was able to capture the Raw Tag Team titles in Cleveland on Fastlane Sunday night, what the fuck is that going to do when the main event of TakeOver is Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship? How are you going to present these guys in two different lights? They hate each other's guts on NXT. Johnny's wanting the NXT Championship for 3 years now. Finally gets his opportunity to vanquish Ciampa. Then you're going to turn around a month before we get to TakeOver and give them the tag team fucking titles as if none of what's going on NXT right now matters at all? Do you know how fucking laughable that is? Oh my God, man. I swear to God, I wish Vince McMahon would fucking choke on his chicken wing later tonight. I swear to God, man. Holy shit. That is absolutely fucking pathetic. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I have no words. I'm speechless. I am speechless at just the sheer thought of that. Yeah, let's give the Revival the tag team titles only to take them off the Revival and put it on Johnny and Ciampa. Oh my God. Ricochet. Ricochet's original opponent for his Raw debut was supposed to be Finn Balor. Dave Meltzer stated on Wrestling Observer Live that Finn Balor was supposed to wrestle Ricochet during Raw this week. However, Triple H had to convince Vince McMahon that this was not the right decision. Yeah, but Triple H has heat on him for hyping up his guys, right? Triple H has heat on him at WWE headquarters. I wonder why. Why, because he's the one pulling the right moves here? Triple H was able to get Vince McMahon to cancel the Balor versus Ricochet match because he didn't like the idea of a babyface versus babyface. He also used the idea that Ricochet shouldn't lose his Raw debut, and Finn Balor just won the IC title. Very good points there, Mr. Paul. I don't understand that. Yeah, let's give away another fucking WrestleMania match in front of Lafayette, Louisiana. Thank God you people there did not get to see that match. I don't mind the babyface versus babyface dynamic. If it was to happen, they could have booked it as a double DQ finish of some sort. But just giving the match away on night one is all the reason you need. Since neither man could really do a job at this point, they were partnering up instead, which meant WWE had to put Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush back together, which pretty much canceled out everything that happened on Sunday night at the Elimination Chamber. And Ricochet looks ordinary in the ring with Bobby Lashley. Great. So nobody wins. Nobody wins. Even though it was not a bad match, it was a terrible wasted opportunity for WWE to feature Ricochet. Now, Finn Balor and Ricochet were supposed to have a killer match, But the finish was the problem. Maybe this is Balor's opponent at WrestleMania. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Speaking of Raw and decisions like that, it was said that Raw was a total mess backstage. A total fucking mess. Brad Shepard on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast said his source within the WWE didn't have the best things to say about how the show went down this week. Apparently they are using the term, and I quote, fast evolving script to mean WCW now. Says, and I quote, a source in WWE described Raw to me as a mess. It was a fast evolving script on Monday night. One that I heard was evolving into the second hour of the show. This goes in line with everything that we've heard already about how toxic and chaotic it is backstage at Raw. WWE had to put on a big show in front of a lackluster audience, and that did not help at all either. Finally, before we get the introduction out of the way, there was a lot to go over, folks. A lot to go over. Now you know the fucking problems that exist. And I've been stating this for as long as I can fucking remember. As long as I've been doing this. WWE employee reportedly calls Alistair Black's debut laughable. Yes, this is actual news. I don't know if this is a shot at Alistair Black or the fact that WWE fucked up. I don't know. Brad Shepard mentioned on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast, this same source in WWE opened up to him and was quite candid on what they thought about Alistair Black's WWE Raw debut. Now, we all know it was very short notice to bring up someone like Alistair Black. Some people were happy with how WWE used them, and others, or I would say the majority, were not. If you are part of the some that were happy, you're a fucking mental case. Brad Shepard says, and I quote, so Alistair Black in the ring with Elias. They called it laughable and said that it's a shame Elias had to job to him. Let me repeat that. This source tells Brad Shepard, so Alistair Black is in the ring with Elias. They called it laughable and said it was a shame Elias had to job to him. They went on to say WWE doesn't seem to know what they got with Elias. Big guy, great talker. Yeah, let's job him to someone 2/3 his size. Look at the mentality of people who work in and around Vince McMahon's circle. Alistair Black, how tall is Alistair Black? 6'2", 6'3"? It's a tall guy. He's very well put together. So they're claiming that Alistair Black, it's laughable for him to beat a guy like Elias because Elias looks like a brick shithouse and Alistair Black is skinny and lanky and thin and tall. Meanwhile, if you confront Alistair Black down a dark alley, I guarantee you that he'll leave you in fucking cold blood. Now, I don't know what you guys think. If I'm looking at Elias and then I'm looking at Alistair Black and I don't know who the fuck they are, I think I'm going with Alistair Black to beat Elias. And then you look at them actually in the ring and then you realize that Elias is fucking garbage and has done nothing as far as an in-ring aspect goes. His best match was with Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. I wonder why. Everybody else that he's been in the ring with has been an absolute fucking disgusting display. Yet it's laughable that someone that Elias is jobbing to someone like Alistair Black. Look at the mentality. Look at how brainwashed they are. Bad enough that Alistair Black had to sell 95% of that match to a fucking headlock. Then he goes on SmackDown Live and has a 10-minute great television match with Andrade. Again, I wonder why. Was it laughable then? Everybody in Vince McMahon's circle needs to be eradicated. Like fucking cockroaches. They need to be fucking eradicated. Like rats. The rats that they are. They need to be eradicated. That's absolutely fucking... That makes me sick to my fucking stomach to read something like that. I saved the best for last with that fucking story. I got more to come. Michael Cole preparing for a WWE exit? Goodbye. I'll kick you in the ass on the way out. Lio Rush has backstage heat in WWE. WWE made a big change to Ronda Rousey's match on Raw. The internet is reacting to D-Generation X being inducted into the Hall of Fame. EC3, dead on arrival in WWE. All that plus so much more right here on episode 262. This is part number 1 of Off the Script. And I'll tell you what, the only thing that's laughable is the way Vince McMahon handles his main roster talent. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Off this shitty fucking product by coming on here and speaking the fucking goddamn truth about this fucking filth. And I can book a better show taking a fucking dump after eating my fucking Chipotle chorizo with extra cheese. I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. Have I ever? Of course not. WWE is great, man. Fuck you, Japan, and Kenny Omega, Okada. Johnny! What is it, Vince? Can I suck your dick? What is it, Vince? And this is the #1 fucking podcast right here on YouTube.com. This is Off the Script. This comment comes from Matthew McWilliams. Sounds like something you're going to order on the fucking value meal. No, I'll take a #7, please. Hold the lettuce. Mr. Matthew McWilliams probably works at fucking Wendy's, scooping fries from the fryolator. The fryolator! My baby daughter! How can I afford all this formula? #1, learn the pronunciation of Lafayette. I didn't know I was mispronouncing your shit town's name. Excuse me. #2, don't act like everyone knows who these people are. Well, Mr. McWilliams, maybe you should make a more concentrated effort into getting to fucking know who they are. If you're a fan of pro wrestling, I'm sure you know who they are. I'm a fan of a variety of things. I always know about everything concerning the things that I like. In this case, it's who's going to be the future of the company. Make a more concentrated effort to knowing who they are. I'm a fan of the Atlanta Braves. You don't think that I sit here and I look at who's up and coming and who's going to be the future of the company, whether it's a pitching prospect or just a major player in AAA, right? I don't understand that logic. It's ridiculous. It's so fucking lazy. Anyway, he goes on to say, WWE's been a stale product for years and had dragged wrestling altogether down with it. Wow, Mr. Mac Williams, you just earned a extra 25-cent raise on your $5.50 an hour at Wendy's. Great job. I used to be a huge wrestling fan. Lafayette has hosted some great shows in the past. We have our own promotions here. The bigger wrestling fans have stopped watching WWE like I have because it's become too fucking boring. You can say all you want about the reactions. Don't fucking judge our people because they didn't let you have your grandest erection ever. Ooh, he did a flip in the ring. Lottie frickin' da. Maybe you should get your friends together and watch Dora the Explorer do handsprings and cartwheels so you can get off on it. Maybe you should suck on a mango popsicle and chill. Make it a banana and we'll call it a deal. People, this is the simple-mindedness of the community. Do you know how many times I had to hear, oh, JD's boys, these vanilla midgets are never going to generate money. I've heard people call Matt Riddle. I don't know where Matt Riddle's name's being called or coming from. Matt Riddle's a vanilla midget, I was told. Today, before I recorded this show. Who the fuck's talking about Matt Riddle? And, by the way, Mr. Virgin sitting behind the keyboard, which I'm sure has a variety of different fucking cum stains on it, and your breath is reeking of fucking shit, as you hide behind your Peyton Royce and Alexa Bliss avatar, I would love for you to show your face in public, go to an NXT live event, and say that to Matt Riddle himself. I guarantee you he'll break your arm, and while he's breaking your arm in about 7 different places, he'll smoke a joint while doing it. Go ahead. These are the same people that fucking attack me every month and claim that they are the voice of the community and that they're the ones that people should be listening to. They're the dumbest ones in the community. I don't understand this standoffish just nature to something new. Who on the main roster are you going to bestow the keys of the kingdom to? Reigns? The guy couldn't sell out an arena if his life depended on it. Really? Well, Reigns. You're going to give the keys to the kingdom back to Reigns when he gets 100% healthy? The guy was a ratings killer. Give me a break. So if nobody's printing money on the main roster, how are you going to chime in and say that these guys are never going to be able to print money? Really? Everybody that you love and adore was in the same position that these guys were in. I'd rather give these guys the chance at owning the top spot in WWE than anyone else at this given time. So the ignorance in the community is just so fucking ridiculous, man. It's absolutely laughable. It's absolutely laughable. Rollins isn't the guy. Rollins is bland and boring. Kevin Owens is fat. Samoa Joe is fat. AJ Styles is old. Daniel Bryan is washed up. Daniel Bryan's yesterday's news. Everybody's on this Kofi Kingston bandwagon. Where the fuck were you for the last 11 years? Who the fuck do you want as the number one guy in the company? Who? If you can come up with a logical, common sense-like answer, I'll pin it at the top of the fucking comment section. Really. And be serious with your fucking answers to me. Honestly. If not for these 4 guys, who? Who? The days of The Undertaker and John Cena and The Rock, Austin, they're all over. They're all over. You either adapt with the vanilla midgets or you don't watch the fucking product. And I'm sure you're going to watch anyway, just like I'm going to watch. And bitch and moan and complain, just like we all do. Get the fuck out of here. Thank you guys so very much, man. This is Off the Script, episode 262, part number 1. We are kicking the weekend off in a very volatile way. I got to shout out all of you guys, man. Seriously, you all purchased a shirt this week, and you beasted it. We are now over 119 sold for the entire month of February, man. This may be the most successful shirt I have ever released. I got to shout out James Cooper. I got to shout out Noel Levi, you fucking beast. How many shirts you own, bro? How many shirts you own? I know you own the entire barbershop catalog, and you got this one? Holy shit, man. My Guinness is going straight to you when I see you, if I see you at one of these events. I got to shout out, give me some time here, man. I got so many. David. Got to shout out David. David, you're a fucking beast, bro. Connor. I got to shout out Brett, Griffin, Raymond, Billy, John, Sean, Federico. I used to work with a Federico. When I was at Tourneau on 52nd and Madison, well, not 57th, 57th and Madison. I used to work with a Federico on the upper level. Federico's actually got a fucking channel on YouTube called Federico Talks Watches. You should go fucking follow him because he's very entertaining and he's very knowledgeable at his craft. So shout out to Federico. I know that's not the Federico I'm talking about, but shout out to Federico anyway. Joseph, Clarence, William, Benjamin, Lee. I got to shout out Kerry. I don't know if I mispronounced your name wrong. Just call me a fucking goon. Craig, Kedrick, you fucking beast. What's up, bro? Matthew Ryan. I don't know who that is, but I work with a Matthew Ryan Shapiro. I doubt it's him. If it is, what's up, bro? I'll see you in April at the Culture Clash show, WrestleMania weekend. Abner, Anthony D. What's the D stand for, bro? I'm a Jerry D. Anthony D. Shout out to the D's out there. Dean Pasker. I got to shout out Paris. I also have to shout out Jeremy. I have to shout out Brennan. I have to shout out Ronald, John Carl, Logan. I got to shout out Christopher. I got to shout out Brandon. I got to shout out Francis. And I got to shout out Paula. Every single one of you this week bought t-shirts, man. It's unfucking believable. If you guys want to get your t-shirt, bonfire.com. Link is down in the description at the very top. You'll see the link there with JD's Elite link. And we're at 119 sold. If we can get to 150 before the month is over, man, we can start fresh in March. Let's do it. Let's do it. JD's Elite on bonfire.com. Link is down in the description below. Follow me on social media, man. If you're not, I don't know what the fuck you're waiting for. At JD from NY206 on Twitter and on Instagram. Same deal. Follow me on Twitch, JD from New York. Hit that subscribe button down below with that bell for notifications. I do not like, and I mention this all the time, I do not like that they don't automatically push to Twitter. So I have to manually do that. Some days I remember, some days I don't. But if you guys want to be up to date on everything, if the bell wants to work, make sure you guys climb in. Jesus Christ. If you guys want to click on the bell. I can't fucking talk today. It was that 1 hour rant I did on Vince McMahon being a senile fuck. Click that bell. Make sure you have on all notifications and all videos, man. If you guys want to support the podcast on Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. Shout out to everybody listening to me early over there. It'll be up later tonight. Or it was up last night, rather. I'm recording this on Thursday. Really, you guys will have heard it early. So shout out to you guys if you're listening to me. So make sure you guys do all that on social media and the YouTube and the Patreon stuff. Thank you guys so very much. Got to shout out Harry's, man. Harry's.com/script for your free trial shave set. $13 value. You're going to get a ton for your value, man. I actually have to use Harry's myself. I have to shave. I don't have anything planned this weekend, but I want to feel good at least while I do the podcast. But what do I love about Harry's? I love the close, smooth shave. I love the fact that I don't cut myself. And I'm sure you guys are going to love that same thing about Harry's if you use it yourself. Harry's is used by 10 million people. And I want you guys to be a part of the 10 million by using our link, harrys.com/script. Now, the best thing about Harry's is that the people who founded Harry's were tired. Just like we're tired of Raw, they were tired of paying for razors that were overpriced and overdesigned. And a lot of these other brands, they use these gimmicks like vibrating heads and flex balls to raise the prices. And they've been using this gimmick or these gimmicks for decades. So they fixed all that by combining a simple, clean design with quality, something that Raw does not have, quality, durable blades, and a fair price. Harry's actually also bought a world-class blade factory in Germany that's been making quality blades for over 95 years. It's a long time, man. And they've received over 20,000 five-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google. All Harry's blades come with a 100% quality guarantee, and if you don't love your shave, they'll give you a full refund, guaranteed. So what do you get in the $13 value, man? You get a razor handle, choice of one color. You have the choice of orange, evergreen, and blue. You got a 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade, a rich lathering shave gel, 2-ounce bottle. It soothes, it hydrates, it smells fantastic, and when you apply it on your face, you're going to feel a nice little tingling sensation, man. That means you know you got a quality product right there. And you're going to get a travel blade cover as well if you guys want to present your blade in the medicine cabinet, make it look all nice. You know, when your girl comes over, she'll see the nice little setup you have on the bathroom sink. Oh, what's this? It's Harry's. Don't worry about it. Or if you guys like to travel, you guys can take it with you and protect your blade on the go. Listeners of Off the Script can redeem your trial right now. $13 value for free. Harrys.com/script. Make sure you guys go to Harrys.com/script to redeem your offer and let them know that Off the Script and JD sent you to try out Harry's, man. And I cannot forget, I feel like I've forgotten about them. My friends over at Audible. audibletrial.com/offthescript. You guys know the deal with Audible. Audible is giving you 30 days of their service just for signing up using our link, audibletrial.com/offthescript. If you guys have signed up already, thank you. If you guys have not signed up and you want to support the show and get something for free, this is the deal for you. Audible's giving you 30 days of their service and one free audiobook of your choice. Now, if you guys want to stay signed on, if you like the audiobook thing, more people are listening to audiobooks and podcasts now than ever before. If you find that Audible is worth your time, you guys can absolutely stay on past the 30 days. If you don't want to stay on past the 30 days, you guys can cancel at any time within the 30-day grace period. You can cancel on day 1, you can cancel on day 30, and you still get to keep your audiobook for free just for trying out the service. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Go and redeem your offer today on Audible. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Thank you guys so very much for all of that and the support you show me and my sponsors. Let's get on with the rest of the news here on Off the Script, man. EC3 could be dead on arrival in WWE, and I don't know why. The only thing I could even possibly conceive is the fact that they harbor ill will and resentment, just like they did Christian for going over to TNA when he was originally in the WWE. That's the only thing I could possibly think of. WWE just called up 4 of the brightest stars that the company has, in Ricochet, Alistair Black, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano, to the main roster. However, they called up a group of superstars 2 months ago that they have not even used at all yet on television. Lars Sullivan is out due to anxiety. He has not even been in front of a WWE camera on the main roster. Nikki Cross has been a loser on the main roster in every situation that they put her in. And if she's not in the ring, she's teaming with fucking Alicia Fox and losing to Ruby Riott. She's in the back doing her, oh, Nikki wants to play. Nikki wants to play. Bullshit. Heavy Machinery's acting like the fucking bushwhackers, interrupting Alexa Bliss, a moment of piss. They got some cringe segments with Lacey Evans going on, right? She's coming out and she's gracing us with her presence, and then she goes away. She hasn't even been in the ring outside the Royal Rumble. EC3 has been a fucking mime. He's been a mime on television. He should be in the fucking circus. He'll probably make more money in the fucking circus. Giving you his mime act, right? EC3, a fucking mute. Hasn't even said a fucking word on WWE television. Now, the Wrestling Observer newsletter notes that EC3 seems to be dead on arrival already. This is certainly due to the fact that WWE hasn't used him much at all since his debut. Got a win over Dean Ambrose, and then Dean Ambrose came back and beat him in about 3 minutes with a fluke roll-up. And that was it for EC3. And there was rumors that EC3 was going to have a major WrestleMania match this year in New Jersey. Man, is that now probably out the window. EC3 had 2 matches with Dean Ambrose, like I mentioned, and WWE seemingly moved on after that. Well, I guess Vince McMahon threw him into the fucking pool and he sank. That's why he hasn't been featured on television or has yet to utter a word, right? He didn't get any crowd reaction, but Vince thinks what he's doing is right. Let me throw him out there and let's see if he can get over. How the fuck are we supposed to know what this guy's about if you haven't let him fucking talk? Anyway, we'll have to wait and see what EC3 does moving forward if he gets any more of a spotlight on the main roster. WWE needs to work on something for him, because if they aren't careful, the fans might not accept someone who WWE sat on for too long without pushing. When does EC3's contract expire? I'm sure he'll make a fine addition to AEW. Fucking ridiculous. The only thing I can think of is one of two things. One, WWE has too much talent and they don't even realize that EC3 is even alive. And that's surprising because you look at EC3 and you look at the body type that EC3 has, I would assume that he looks like someone Vince McMahon would love. And he's got charisma. That's the funny thing. And they haven't let him show his strength. His strength is in his microphone skills. And they haven't let him do any of that. Now, the only other thing I could even contemplate is the fact that they remember that this guy was Derek Bateman, right? Derek Bateman, remember him? That he left WWE and went on to be EC3 under the Dixie Carter regime. He became semi-successful there. And just like Christian Cage, went over to TNA, became a world champion, came back home, quote-unquote, to WWE, and they really never embraced who he was or the character and the wrestler that he has grown into over there. You know, in each situation, both guys came out better on the other side. And for WWE to not realize that and instead harbor ill will and resentment that these guys did them dirty back in the day, however many years ago, and now all of a sudden want to come back home, I don't understand that mentality. There's a time and a place for everybody. There was a time and a place where EC3, Derek Bateman, and Christian were no longer needed really in WWE. There was nothing more for them to do. They realized that. They wanted to go prove themselves so that they come back and they're more valuable to you. How you don't look at that in a positive light is fucking ridiculous. Or am I just fucking stupid? One or the other, man. I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything. Maybe my logic and common sense is just fucking completely out there that I'm a fucking asshole. Unbelievable. EC3, man. Done. He's done already. There's nothing that you could do to get me into. I wasn't even interested in EC3 in NXT. They didn't really do much of anything with him. Not like he needed NXT anyway. You know, he needed NXT just like Drew McIntyre needed NXT for about 6 months, or Kevin Owens, 6 months. And he was ready for the main roster. And then when he gets to the main roster, they don't know how to utilize him. And now he is EC3 in Titus Catering. Give me a third serving of that mashed potato, bro. That's all that is. That's the whole fucking gimmick. Can I get, you don't even have to say anything, Titus Catering. You know, you go up to the fucking, to the table and you scoop your own fucking food. You know, he's got servants that go over to help him. All he has to do is this. And they'll know that he wants another serving. Third serving. That's it. That's all that is. That's what the gimmick's turned into. Titus Catering, third serving for EC3. Moving on here. The internet reacts to D-Generation X being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I reacted. You know what my reaction was? Next! Chyna tried really to reconcile things with the WWE before her passing. It didn't work out, and she was snubbed while she was alive. She wanted things to work out with the WWE, and they did not care. Yet you people think that this is a woman who's going to be inducted on her own. Now, granted, I will agree with every single one of you. Yes, she belongs in the Hall of Fame. But this is Vince McMahon we're talking about. This is the woman that Triple H abandoned to marry into the family, and now look at where he is, and look at where she is. She's no longer with us, sadly. She went into depression, she did porno, and she just lived a life that isn't really indicative of what they deem Hall of Fame after the fact. But these people are so fucking stupid to realize that their actions drove her to do all that shit. Probably. It appears she will be getting her moment in the Hall of Fame, but she will not be alone. Now the internet wrestling community is acting in a big way. D-Generation X is being promoted in the New York City market as inductees in the 2019 class of the WWE Hall of Fame. It was announced by Triple H on Monday. Now, Chyna is included in this induction. Briefly mentioned, and they didn't really dive into Chyna and her accolades all that much. They just mentioned her by name. Yeah, and Chyna. You know, it was Triple H and Shawn Michaels and the New Age Outlaws and X-Pac and Chyna. This announcement is expected to be made, it was made official on Monday, and it is expected to continue to just divide the community, right? So, it was reported that there were plans to break this news at the Elimination Chamber, which I believe it happened. I'm not really sure. I wasn't paying all that much attention. And then advertisements, obviously, on Monday. Fans are happy for Chyna, but there are still who would rather her receive her own induction. Some people feel as though Chyna getting into the Hall of Fame in this manner is an easy way out for WWE. Of course it's an easy way out. You ain't wrong. I want you to know that it's probably not going to happen on its own. Being that she's going in here, that's the most you'll see of Chyna in the Hall of Fame. It's just the way it is. And I don't want to react too much to this, or I don't want to dive too much into this. I know I mentioned Rick Rude on my Monday Night Raw review, and I know Rick Rude wasn't there for the bulk of the best years for D-Generation X, but how many iterations of D-Generation X were there? Every time that they got back together, they seemingly got worse and worse and worse and worse. You know, so D-Generation X as a whole should go in. No matter who was there wasn't many to be a part of this group anyway. I don't know why you would leave out Rick Rude. You should still mention Rick Rude, who, to me, he was one of my favorites growing up, Rick Rude. But regardless of that's just minor criticisms. The thing with Chyna, yeah, I know she was the first woman to enter the Royal Rumble, and she was the first woman to win the Intercontinental Championship, right? Who cares? Who cares? Those are great. Those are great. Is that enough to warrant a Hall of Fame induction? Without D-Generation X, the Chyna that happened after D-Generation X wouldn't even be a thing. Vince and Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they gave her a spot in D-Generation X. Her character grew and molded and became what it was after the fact because of what she did and what she displayed in D-Generation X. I don't get all this resentment about, oh, she's not going in by herself. Who the fuck cares? Do you honestly lose sleep at night knowing that Chyna is not going into the fucking Hall of Fame? Meanwhile, we got Martha Hart holding Owen Hart and his legacy hostage. We got Vader, who put out a tweet on social media, I have 2 years to live. You think WWE would have reacted to that? Let's get fucking Vader in the Hall of Fame. Now, Bam Bam Bigelow's going into the Hall of Fame because he's from Asbury Park, New Jersey. Guarantee you he's one of the classmates for D-Generation X in the 2019 Hall of Fame. Yeah, what a fucking coincidence. We're in New Jersey this year, so let's induct Bam Bam Bigelow. Same thing with Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Right? Hart Foundation was a Hall of Fame act. I know they inducted Bret Hart several years ago, but you couldn't induct the Hart Foundation while Jim the Anvil Neidhart was alive? I don't get that. What is it going to take for Demolition to go into the Hall of Fame? Is Barry Darsow going to have to fucking pass away for you to induct one member of Demolition so that the other one is not there? It's ridiculous. You're arguing over nothing. Your voices do not matter in the aspect of the Hall of Fame. Who sucked Vince McMahon's cock the most? And how well did you stroke? Cut the shit. Moving on. Monday Night Raw. It's better if I gotta watch Monday Night Raw. I gotta talk about Monday Night Raw. WWE made a big change to Ronda Rousey's match on Raw. The only change that should have been made to Ronda Rousey's match on Raw was the fact that it should have never happened. Ronda Rousey walked out of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view with the Raw Women's title still around her shoulder. She then defended the title against Ruby Riott again the next night on Raw. However, that was not the plan at all. Well, man, what a way to go about your rematch clause, right? Ruby Riott loses in 90 seconds, and then they just booked the same match on Monday Night Raw to fill an agenda because Becky and Charlotte needed their moment on the Elimination Chamber. So we'll feed Ruby Riott to everybody. 90 seconds, and then we can get on with what's most important. And the fact that that is taking precedent over everything, so much so that WrestleMania doesn't even have any direction, is very, very concerning. So, the antiquated rematch clause I still see is in effect in WWE, right? They didn't make any mention of Ronda Rousey having an open challenge. They didn't make mention of no open challenge. This is what she's been doing. This has been the gimmick for the last couple of pay-per-views. After a pay-per-view on Monday, she has an open challenge. They didn't mention Ruby Riott was challenging Ronda Rousey in an open challenge. They just touted it as a rematch. Why the fuck would anyone think Ruby Riott is deserving of a rematch? She got beaten 90 seconds. And the match was terrible. At this point, Ronda Rousey shouldn't even be wrestling. It's only being damaging to everything else and everyone else in the division outside of Becky and Charlotte. Wait till Ronda drops the title to Becky, then we can get on with your regularly scheduled program. Ruby Riott was buried. I don't give a fuck what she did on Monday Night Raw. Oh, she was grounding Ronda. She had a good match with Ronda. The match was terrible. And Ronda almost broke her fucking leg in the process by coming off the top rope. Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that Alexa Bliss was actually supposed to be squashed by Ronda Rousey on Raw. I much would have rather Alexa Bliss to be squashed. She hasn't done shit. She hasn't done a goddamn thing. Why Ruby Riott? Oh, because Alexa Bliss is sucking someone's dick backstage, I'm sure. However, WWE needed to change up so many things because of Seth Rollins' injury. Due to the fact that they were still rewriting the show into the second hour of the program, the decision was eventually made to let Ruby Riott have a longer match against Ronda Rousey. Yes, because the 90 seconds is deserving of a longer match on Monday Night Raw, right? Yeah, her actions at the Elimination Chamber. Man, I can't wait for Ruby Riott to get her rematch. Ronda was supposed to wrestle Alexa Bliss in another quick squash match just like the Elimination Chamber. So why didn't that happen? Someone please reiterate to me why that wasn't a better option instead of Ruby Riott. Dave Meltzer says, and I quote, they needed more time out of the Rousey match, so the feeling was that Rousey versus Bliss wouldn't be good. Well, no. They needed more time out of the Rousey match. So what you're telling me is that you were okay by letting Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman go 20 minutes, taking away time from DIY and the Revival, just so that Ronda Rousey and Ruby Riott got enough time in the main event. That time that you were going to give Ronda and Ruby Riott, that time couldn't go to DIY and the Revival? Is that what you're telling me? Who the fuck cares about Alexa Bliss? This company is absolutely fucking retarded. Retarded! You never know if Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss could happen again. I hope not. I hope not. I hope I never see Alexa Bliss in a fucking ring again. She's terrible. Doesn't seem like this worked out for WWE on Raw for obvious reasons. Big change. The big change should have been taking it off the fucking card and putting DIY in the Revival in the main event, giving them 30 minutes. Wow. So difficult. Lio Rush. Lio Rush has backstage heat in WWE. Okay. Why? He's 23, young, and stupid. That's why. Lio Rush has a mouth that seems too big for his body. This has created some tricky situations for Mr. Lio Rush on WWE television. However, it also might be that him getting heat in the locker room is pretty much expected after the Emma situation. Remember that? Thought he learned his lesson. Apparently not. Report came out this week that Lio Rush tends to rub people the wrong way backstage, even if his fellow superstars are in his vicinity. Now, there's more confirmation that there is indeed some sort of issue with Lio backstage. Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net Reports that one source told him something quite unfavorable about Lio Rush as well. This report says, and I quote, "He's not somebody I plan on or would want to be associated with at all." Sounds like like they're making him out to be a fucking drug dealer. You don't want to be associated with that guy. He's bad news. Bad news. He's got a criminal record. He's a drug dealer. He's going to lead you down the wrong path. That's not really the fucking feel you want to give backstage. And not the reputation you want to give backstage. This doesn't sound good at all. Now, Lio Rush seems to be doing fine on Raw. His breakup with Bobby Lashley lasted less than 24 hours as he teamed with the almighty garbage, Trashly, in a losing effort against Finn Balor and in the same match as the debuting Ricochet. Might be a good idea for Lio Rush to change some of his socialization tactics backstage because apparently whatever he is doing now is not working at all. Mr. Lio Rush, you're on Raw. It's probably why he's acting bad, because you don't want to be there. All joking aside, if you are a very rare breed coming out of 205 Live, and you're on Raw in a major program, and you're in the ring with a Ricochet and a Balor and everybody else, that's a Braun Strowman, whatever, whoever you're in the ring with, Ambrose, Rollins, you should take that as a fucking blessing. Because not many people from where you came originally on 205 Live have been able to achieve this type of success. They've been labeled vanilla midgets, they've been labeled too small, they've been labeled unrealistic, and here you are mixing it up with Ricochet on Monday Night Raw. And you're fucking that up? Man, count your fucking blessings. If you really want to be respected or go anywhere in this company, the one thing that I've read and the one thing that I've come to know is treat people the way you want to be treated. And do what you need to do. Now, Rush has been handed a golden opportunity. He seems to be flushing it away down the fucking toilet. And I don't like to see that. Guy's too talented. The guy is genuinely too talented to see him just flush it all away. So Lio Rush has scathing backstage heat in WWE. For better or for worse, hopefully it changes, and hopefully I'll be reporting that he is one of the more liked guys backstage in WWE. WWE might be preparing for Michael Cole's exit from Monday Night Raw. This guy needs to be one of the guys on this show that we never hear from again. Honestly, he needs to go. Michael Cole and his voice have gotten worse over the course of time. I am tired of hearing, "Oh, it's boss time." I'm tired of hearing all these fucking cheesy names and the fake fucking scripted, forced verbiage from Michael Cole. It was even more so worse this week when I got to hear him just fucking lifelessly describe in video packages all four guys coming up from NXT. And then I got to hear him call their matches. Like I mentioned in the open, Alistair Black is moody and he's intense. I don't want to hear this fucking verbiage. Who the fuck fed you that line? Someone who clearly doesn't know the Alistair Black character. Now, we've been hearing Michael Cole has been preparing his exit from WWE for the last 2 years. This is something that I am not going to believe until I cannot hear this man's voice anymore. Michael Cole has been with WWE since 1997 and has held several positions on and off camera. He is very influential behind the scenes, which could be his full-time job responsibility soon enough. Dave Meltzer was asked on Wrestling Observer Radio how much longer Michael Cole has on commentary, and his response was that WWE seems to already be preparing for his move out of the position. Says, and I quote, "Probably not that long, honestly. That's why they're hiring so many announcers. I guess Tom Phillips will probably get the job, so I don't want to say that they'll wish for Michael Cole, but they'll probably wouldn't like Tom Phillips either in that spot." You're right. You're right. Tom Phillips is someone who's a little bit more easy listening to me, especially now, especially with the newer talent, because Tom Phillips was the voice of this newer talent with Corey Graves down in NXT. So it's a little bit more easy to digest with him behind the microphone for these guys than Michael Cole. But if we all want to be serious here, the only one that should be able to take this position is Mauro Ranallo. Mauro Ranallo should be the voice of WWE then, now, and forever. You want to talk about then you got the Jim Ross. There's nobody that is ever going to fill Jim Ross's position, ever. Jim Ross is the greatest play-by-play man in the history of the fucking company. So you got then. Now, it should be Morrow. Forever, I don't know. But I know the lasting impression that Jim Ross and, right now, Morrow is leaving on everybody is going to be in that forever stage. Morrow wouldn't even take the position because I guarantee you one of the reasons why he didn't feel comfortable on SmackDown Live was probably a mixture of JBL. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. My betting money, or myself, if I was a betting man, I would say JBL was definitely a hindrance on Morrow's just stance on SmackDown Live. But I know Vince doesn't like that traditional play-by-play. He doesn't like when people call moves in the ring. And, Morrow tells a story. And Morrow works with guys who around him tell a story that Morrow isn't telling. Morrow always works with someone who is complimenting him. I want someone like Morrow because he brings a more real-life sports feel to the product. That's why NXT has been taken from here through the fucking roof. And that's because of Mauro Ranallo. I don't understand. The guy's in MMA. The guy's doing Showtime boxing. The guy's doing this and this and this and this. He's all over the place. Why wouldn't you want someone that is multi-skilled and multi-talented with his voice and his vocabulary to lead Monday Night Raw where Monday Night Raw needs the most help? When you're not talking about the roster, they need the most help behind the microphone. Michael Cole is dated. He is out of touch, and his voice does not resonate with new listeners at all. Renee Young is another one. She is god-awful at what she does. Terrible. And I know they're not going to replace Renee Young. Renee Young with the oohs and the ahs and adding nothing of value to back up what Michael Cole and Corey Graves are saying. She can't paint a fucking picture at all of what's happening in the ring. She goes over and tells you exactly what is common sense. She doesn't add anything to the overall feel of the match. And they can't take her away from there. Otherwise, it would be a PR nightmare. And the only reason they take Renee Young away from that is because they want another female to take her spot. They would have to ultimately replace her with a Beth Phoenix, who I honestly think does a better job than Renee Young. Corey Graves is Corey Graves. You either like Corey Graves or you don't like Corey Graves. I don't have a problem with Corey Graves. I just think that he's gotten a little bit more corporate over the span of time he's been on the main roster. But that doesn't take away from anything that we're seeing with Corey Graves. Kinda, but not so much to a point where he's completely nauseating. Michael Cole has to go. Michael Cole has to go. If you want real change on Monday Night Raw needs a voice that's going to lead the new generation. Michael Cole is not that voice. And we've been hearing about this for 2 years. When it happens, then I'll believe it. When I don't hear Michael Cole, and when I see Tom Phillips or someone on Monday Night Raw in place of Michael Cole and he gives his resignation, then I'll believe it. Other than that, this is nothing but mere speculation and bullshit as far as I'm concerned. Michael Cole honestly does need to exit Monday Night Raw for good. Now, yes, he's been a part of some memorable moments, but right now, like I mentioned, completely formulaic. It's scripted beyond belief. It's dated. His voice does not fit the vision of what WWE needs for the future. That's all I'm going to say on that. Guys, I'm getting out of here. I've went 1 hour and 42 minutes here on this show. I am hungry. I am tired. I am sweating my balls off because these lights glaring down on me, especially with me raising my fucking blood pressure, is all making me sweat my balls off. So I'm going to eat, I'm going to take a shower, and I'll see you guys right back here in Saturday's episode for part 2. And we're going to go over all that is Kofi Kingston. Apparently, WWE could be setting up a heel turn for Big E and Xavier Woods. And I got some ideas that could play into that fact. And we're going to go over the bandwagon Kofi Kingston nonsense as well. Because right now, speculation is Daniel Bryan's opponent at WrestleMania ain't Kofi Kingston. It's going to be a returning Kevin Owens. So we'll go over all of that, plus so much more. A ton of WrestleMania 35 news, or lack thereof, right now for the entire show. We'll go over all that on part 2 on Saturday, man. Thank you guys so very much for all of your support. Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript, harrys.com/offthescript, or harrys.com/script, rather. All these fucking codes and links and all this nonsense. It's harrys.com/script, audibletrial.com/offthescript. You guys can follow me on social media at JD from NY206 on Twitter and on Instagram. Follow me on Twitch, JD from New York. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Get your JD's Elite t-shirt on bonfire.com today. Let's try and make it $150 for the month, guys. I'm serious about this. Let's try and make it $150 for the month. Right now, we are at $119 and counting. So, bonfire.com link is down in the annotation, or down in the description, rather, that you see in the bottom of the video. And in the annotation, in the eye, you guys can check out all my content this week. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Resident Evil 2. It is all there for your viewing pleasure. You guys want some great content? I got you covered all weekend long, man. Thank you guys so very much for all of your support on literally everything. Hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,500 thumbs up on Off the Script today. And I will see you all right back here for part 2 of Off the Script, episode 262. Until then, guys, thank you so much. Hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you right back here, same time on Saturday for part 2.